In this episode, we'll be talking about the 3 signs that your ministry is ready to make more money, reach more people, and have bigger impact. You've got a dream to glorify God and make your mark on the world. Maybe you want to grow a business, start a ministry, or become a better servant leader. Whichever level in life you want to hit, I believe that God's calling all of us towards something greater than where we are now. So join me as I document my journey to learn how to grow an online ministry in ways that are effective, biblical, and aren't stuffed with complicated religious or business mumbo-jumbo. My name is Alec Hassan, and welcome to the Digital Ministry Mastermind Podcast. Hey, what is up, current Christian family? It's Alec here, and I would like to ask you guys a question. And that question is, where are you in your business or ministry today? And where do you want to go? I have a quote here from Alice in Wonderland, actually, and it's a little dialogue between Alice and the cat, and it's that Cheshire cat, I'm just going to say cat. But Alice is asking the cat, would you please tell me which way I got to go from here? And the cat responds with, well, that depends a good deal on where you want to go. And Alice is like, well, I don't much care where. And the cat says, well, then I guess it really doesn't matter which way you go. I got here another quote from Ben Franklin. It says, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Now you see that those questions of asking where you are today and where you want to go, these aren't rhetorical. They are questions that you must answer before you can move forward in your journey to scale your ministry or your business. You see, this is the first sign that you're ready to scale, knowing where you're at and where you're going. And if you don't know this, the other 2 signs that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, it won't matter. But after you've answered those 2 questions, now you need to understand where it is you should be before you are ready to consider scaling. There are essentially 4 phases of a ministry or a business's growth that you got to go through in order to scale. Now, what I'm about to talk about is inspired by this idea called the brand Ascension pyramid. And before you can be ready to scale, you must be past a certain phase in the brand Ascension pyramid. Now, I want you to imagine the first phase of this pyramid being like at the very bottom. It's that wide base. And this first phase is what I call the passion project phase. This phase is where you are doing this ministry or this business for fun with the hopes of one day selling your product or service to customers. But for right now, you are paying for everything out of pocket and are more focused on getting results at the moment. And maybe you're in this phase, and that's totally fine. Now, there's a second phase in the brand Ascension pyramid that I call the career phase. Now, you've already made the decision that you want to pursue this passion project all the way in order to grow it into something self-sustaining. You've been able to make some sales and have gotten back positive feedback from your ideal customer. And this is the second sign that you're ready to scale. The first sign was that you know where you're at and where you're going. And the second sign is that you've moved out of that career phase and are now in the influencer phase with your ministry or business. This influencer phase, this is where your energy is now more focused on social media and ads in order to bring in more traffic. Now, you aren't as bogged down by fulfilling orders, and you're ready to make more sales by creating a greater professional presence, essentially, online. And then the fourth and final phase, this is like the tippy top point on the pyramid. This is called the branding phase. This is where you are focused on solidifying yourself in a super specific part of the market that your ideal customers are in. And your focus at this point is to position yourself as like the expert, that go-to person that people think of when they think about the thing that you're selling. Now, it sounds very difficult. It sounds like there's a lot going on here, which is why you got to think of it like a pyramid where you're building up that foundation and you're building up progressively over time. Now, many would say that you should start to scale when you're at that branding phase, but I would argue that scaling is needed when you break past the career phase because you're now establishing yourself as the professional or like the leading authority in your market. And once you're breaking into influencer territory, you need to be ready to fulfill orders and not be behind on completing them. As you can imagine, if you are seen as an influencer in your market and are omnipresent on social media and in ads, people will be starting to associate a lot of value and authority with the product or service that you provide. But if your business or ministry only offers, for example, like bracelets, like let's say your business is selling these $5 bracelets and you give half the money to starving kids in Africa, like if you only have these like low-hanging fruit offers, you're going to eventually hit a point where it's like you get a supply and demand, you hit a supply and demand ceiling where the effort is just not worth the reward. You could imagine it like you're sowing one seed and getting one seed in return. But like in reality, that's not how it should be working. You should be sowing one seed and getting hundreds in return. Because I want you to think about it. We'll stick with this $5 bracelet example. If you have a goal to make $1 million in revenue, you will need to sell a minimum of like 200,000 bracelets. And you also need to take into account the cost for ads, shipping, and materials for making the bracelets in the first place. And on top of that, you're giving away half of that money to help feed kids in Africa. So in reality, you would really need to sell something like way more than 200,000 bracelets. And that's why you need to offer something that keeps ascending higher in value. You might be thinking, like, what in the world do you mean ascends higher in value? Like, what does that mean? And what I mean is you need to offer stuff that keeps getting more premium. Sure, like a $5 bracelet is pretty nice, and I'm sure a lot of people can afford that. But there are also some people who are willing to give you more money if you simply offered something more valuable. I'll repeat that again. There's people who are willing to buy like your low-tier, low-hanging fruit offers, but there are also people who are willing to give you more money if you simply offered them something more valuable. So to stick with like the bracelet example, just think of like the bracelet has like gold beads on it, and the yarn that is holding the bracelet together is spun by the very people that you'll be feeding when you buy this bracelet. Now you see, this bracelet might cost you a little more to make, but its value skyrockets by including the premium material of the gold and a story about, the yarn coming from the village that you are helping to feed. You have significantly increased the value of that product. So now this $5 bracelet could easily be advertised as like a $25 bracelet, which would mean you only need to sell 40,000 bracelets as opposed to 200,000 in order to hit $1 million in revenue. And that's the power of creating something that ascends higher in value. Even if you offer a service, such as like virtual group coaching, you could create a product that is higher in value and thus higher in cost. You could offer one-on-one virtual coaching, in-person training, or even provide experiences, such as like taking people out on retreats or hosting concerts. These are all very possible options for ascending higher in value. And this could even be done for the bracelet example too. Like imagine offering a group retreat where 20 people get to join you as you all visit the very tribe that's going to be getting the money from people buying those bracelets. Each person could pay like $4,000, which would bring in $80,000 in revenue and means $40,000 is going towards feeding kids in that tribe. To make $80,000 from $5 bracelets, you would need to sell 16,000 bracelets, which would have taken a lot of time and resources. But now, with just 20 people, you're able to bring in $80,000 from 20 people and create bigger impact and provide more value than a $5 bracelet could ever offer. And that's the third sign that you're ready to scale. You have created products or services that ascend higher in value. So just to repeat, the first sign that you're ready to scale is you know where you're at and where you're going. The second sign that you're ready to scale is you've moved out of the career phase and are in the influencer phase with your ministry or business. And the third and final sign that you're ready to scale is you've created products or services that ascend higher in value. So this episode was definitely longer than normal, but I want you to let me know if you liked this length and what your thoughts were on today's teaching. And as a side note, even though this knowledge is crucial before moving forward, I don't want you to feel discouraged if you don't believe that you're ready to scale. Maybe you aren't encountering the signs that I talked about. But this journey that I'm going through and this journey that you're going through, it's meant to be very fluid and flexible. So please do continue to follow me as I'm growing the Current Christian brand and as I do my best to lift up and encourage you on your journey. And if you found that this episode has really provided you with a lot of value, then please, I ask you that you subscribe and follow us. Also, if you think that someone else would really benefit from this episode or any of the episodes prior, then I ask you to please send this to them as well. The more people we have on board, the more people who are listening to this content and the more people that you can talk with will just significantly increase your chances and opportunities to grow. So thank you guys so much for being here in this episode, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Are you a Christian leader looking to develop the skills needed to maximize the fruitfulness in your daily walk with Christ? Do you want to overcome the burden of not living life to the fullest and fully step into your God-given calling? If you do, then you should get a copy of my book, Planting Your Purpose, a 20-day guide to discover God's calling. It's not just another devotional book. Planting Your Purpose is your 20-day guide that will provide you with the strategies, tools, and insights to turn things around immediately. You will learn how to avoid the top 5 mistakes Christians make when pursuing their calling in life. You'll develop more joy in your walk with Jesus and unlock the secrets to mastering integrity. And by the end of 20 days, not only will you know your calling, but you'll have an even greater sense of fulfillment and confidence in your life. Everywhere, Christians are raving about this amazing new guide to discover their God-given calling. Get your copy by clicking the link in the show notes or by going to plantingyourpurpose.com. That's plantingyourpurpose.com.